Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Lost Boys. I am Anthony Scaramucci. Today, I want to answer some of your questions from all of you and the issues facing young men and what we can do about it. You sent in questions. I'm ready to answer them, so let's get into them. This is from 𝗕𝗺𝗁𝗀𝗃. When can those who have expressed interest in helping with this cause, either through volunteering part-time or full-time, expect to hear some sort of formalized response? Secondarily, are there any plans to host a dinner, fundraiser, seminar, meeting of some sort where those who are willing can be able to exchange, meet, present ideas, exchange information, etc.? This is a former active duty U.S. Coast Guard officer, former helicopter pilot, father of 2 boys, husband and man, and this is a topic that's near and dear to Stephen's heart. So the short answer to this is we're working on this, sir. We're probably going to have a conference, going to have some online seminars to bring this more to the fore. I mean, the response for this movement has been overwhelming. So myself, Scott Galloway, others on the team are trying to figure out how best to launch this. And so there'll be a full curriculum coming shortly. So stay patient with us. This is from Lilou Sicard-Noel. Why does some groups of men present the idea of being a stepfather as the worst possible outcome for a true man? Single mothers exist since the beginning of times because of war and disease. It's interesting. I think there is a cultural thing sometimes about not having your own genetic offspring. Why is that? I don't know why. I'm a loving person, and if my wife had a son or daughter or several sons or daughters, I would certainly do the best I can to love them to the greatest extent possible. But this is something that, you are right, has been with us throughout history. There's a group of people that don't care, and there's another group of people that for some reason does. You may remember the great Emperor Augustus. When he married his wife was married once before, and her son, his stepson Tiberius, he became the emperor. Okay, so we do have history of people embracing people that are not necessarily their offspring, but there is also the opposite of that, and that's just one of the facts in life that we have to deal with. Tom Bremer. Tom, how are you? What are the main 4 to 5 key enablers of young men to navigate and succeed in today's complex world? So I can only give you my opinion on this, Tom. I'm sure there are sociologists or psychologists that would probably be more versed in this. The top 4 to me is you have to control your mind's comparative analysis. That's number 1. This world of social media is so fraught with FOMO, so fraught with am I doing as well as my peers? And you can get into your own head, and it can be ruinous for yourself. And so the expression that what other people think of you is none of your business always rings true for me. The last 2, I would think in my head, which I think are very important, is compete with yourself. Don't compete with anybody else. Put a list of goals together, work on your own self-improvement, and compete with yourself. And then 4th, last but not least, I think even at an early age, young men and women, they need a gratitude list. They need to say, okay, these are the things that are going well for me this morning. Let me focus on those things, not the other things. We have a tendency, because our brains are wired for survival, we have a tendency to have lots of worry in our brains, and we have a tendency to do a lot of comparative analysis, and we have to do our best to avoid those things. I think that would make things a lot easier for young men. Okay, this is from Max Juliana. I'm 23 years old and just recently moved to New York. I'm blessed to live a life I truly enjoy with good family, great friends, and good health. Very happy for you, Max. I enjoy my career, but often feel I want to do more, learn more, and position myself better to have a big impact at my young age. Any advice on how best to put yourself to good work with good people that could have a tangible impact on the early stages of a career? So, Max, I'll tell this very quick story. My boss put me in the Catholic Student Sponsorship Program. I was 27 years old, didn't want to do it. I was laden with school debt, and he literally forced me to go to the Bronx and be the big brother for a 13-year-old young African-American kid, and I was to pay his tuition to the Monsignor Scanlon High School, which I didn't want to do. And I thought the kid was frankly a pain in the ass, but I did it. And we ended up becoming friends, and I ended up getting him a tutor, helped him find a foster parent, paid for his high school and college tuitions, and believe it or not, some of his medical expenses. It's 36 years later, this young man is now 49 years old, has 3 kids and a beautiful wife and a great job. But he came from a single family household in a Bronx tenement 36 short years ago, and it's probably been the hallmark of my career. If somebody says to me, what's the best thing that I've done thus far? That's probably it. I'm not saying that to brag, Max, but I'm saying do something like that. Do something that you don't want to do that could be perceived as very selfless. It may have an unbelievable long impact on you. And I'll say this to you, that situation helped me probably more than it helped him. Okay, this is from 𝗕𝗵𝗲𝗰𝘀𝘁𝗵. Hopefully I said that right, Adam. If I didn't, forgive me because I'm from Long Island. I hope you call on your audience to create a resource of what we can do to help solve the problem. Don't give me big brothers. I know that. Well, I just gave big brothers on the last thing. I'd like to know how else retired old farts like myself can contribute to a solution. Digestive issues aside, I've looked and it's surprisingly hard to find opportunities to help boys. So moving away from big brothers, let's talk about this specific topic. I think it's the whole point of Lost Boys. I think that we are going to be in the process of setting up a curriculum. We're going to be in the process of setting up a buddy system, and we're going to be in the process of providing space for people to help each other in this context, Adam. So it won't be big brothers, but it'll be something I think substantial. May even have an app where people can go on the app and they can interact with each other. In some cases with anonymity, if that's necessary. In other cases, more directly. So be patient with us. We're coming up with some great ideas, and we're going to roll this stuff out, hopefully late fall of 2025. Okay, Sarah Karode. I hope I said that right, Sarah, coming in from Instagram. How can men be changed or fixed when they aren't the ones who can admit they need it? Well, that's it. I mean, so a lot of times in life, we are not doing the right thing or we're doing something wrong, but it's very hard for us to admit it. And we make excuses for ourselves, lots of excuses, by the way. I know this, Sarah, because I have been that person. Great question. I think what ends up happening is we have a mimetic society. And so we have a tendency to mime others. In other words, when I wanted to have some measure of success in my life, I was like, well, who's making the money? Well, the Wall Street guys are making the money. Well, what do they do? How do they dress? How do they think? What books are they reading? What's the vernacular of their industry? And so I adopted a lot of those things. I became mimetic. I think what Scott and I are trying to do with Lost Boys is open up the conversation, force people to think about their success, not just in dollars and cents, but in other ways. And so through the mimetic behavior of accepting rights or wrongs or flaws in your own personality, I'm hoping that more people will come into that swimming pool of self-awareness. So it's a start, Sarah. It's not necessarily going to help everybody, but this type of thinking has certainly helped me, and this is what I want to try to help provide for others. So I really appreciate these questions. Thank you, guys. Keep sending them in to Lost Boys. We'll be back with more answers to these questions. Even if I don't know the answer, guys, I'm going to give it a good try. Thanks again. If you'd like more information, please go to our website, www.lostboys.men, M-E-N. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Lost Boys wherever you get your podcast, and please share it with someone who cares about this or should care about this, and let's spread the word. Lost Boys is a production of Salt Media and the Casablanca Strategy Group. Barbara Fedita and 𝗕cie are executive producers. Tanya Salati is our researcher. Holly Duncan Quinn and Stanley Goldberg are our editors. Special thanks to Christina Cassesi and Mary Jean Ribas and Drew Burrows.